What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Goggins back with another episode of the Clippers Latest, where we talk all things LA Clippers quick, fast, and to the point. How we feeling today? I hope that everybody's having a fantastic day. I'm having a good start to my day, and I hope you're doing the same. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. Let's talk about Kawhi for a second, because this guy he's been doing it all this offseason. He has been training it up, and I'm not just talking about basketball, but I don't know if you guys were aware, but Kawhi has been over in China the past few days. I guess everybody's going to China. We had James Harden went over to China a couple of weeks ago, and now Kawhi is there. So maybe everybody will just get their little taste of China, a little bit in this offseason before the season starts, and it might be helping because, like I said, he's not just training for basketball, but Kawhi is actually taking some martial arts. I believe the name is specifically Wing Chun. And hey, I'm not mad at this. If Kawhi out here doing side quests, he coming different this year, because you ain't never just heard of Kawhi doing those side quests for real. Be real. When have you heard him doing some stuff like that? Kawhi is a very low profile guy, so he could have been doing this whole time, but now he's been showing a little bit more media presence, which I'm not mad at, because that means he ain't giving a what. So if he don't give a I don't give a what, and I don't give a what anybody say. We winning a chip this year. You feel me? But I think that it could really benefit him in all seriousness. I think that martial arts can translate to the court in quite a few ways. Actually, I feel like there's an opportunity for better balance, faster reaction time, hand-eye coordination can improve there, a stronger mind and body connection, which are all factors that go into basketball, but nobody really thinks of them. We saw Wemby training with some, or not training, but practicing with some monks, doing something earlier this offseason, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit scared because he looks very focused, more focused than ever. So I'm hoping that Kawhi has the same effect on him, because a calm, collected, but killer Kawhi is somebody that I would never want to face up against. So I hope that he can make something shake. I feel like that can make him tougher to guard, but also tougher to try and beat on defense. I also think that it could help him in some ISO situations, and I don't know. I just see a lot of benefits to this. I don't think that it's something that can hurt him, and that's another thing. Getting everything right. He may be able to be more cautious of moves that may affect his injury history. Given his injury history, one wrong move and then it could be a couple months before we are seeing Kawhi on the floor again. So I'm hoping that this experience can help him in some way to where he can come back and perform in the Intuit Dome. And speaking of the Intuit Dome, I want to give a quick shout out to Steve Ballmer, man, because the Clippers home arena just stacked some hardware. They took home the most innovative venue award, or of the year award, and they also took home the most innovative team of the year award. So a double win. That shows that the organization is pushing the game forward off the court just as well as on the court. So I just want to congratulate Steve Ballmer and the whole Clippers organization on doing that. That's big. The Intuit Dome is going to be one of the best arenas that are going to come in the next few years. We just getting started. We're trying to make it futuristic and something that the fans can enjoy. Like I already talked about a few episodes ago, we got the Wall. Nobody else got something like that, and I just think that it's going to be one of those arenas that people are going to enjoy playing in as time goes on. But history will tell itself. But I want to shift to somebody else that will be playing in the Intuit Dome and somebody else that will be coaching in the Intuit Dome, because Ty Lue is keeping it real about Bradley Beal, I must say. He came out on the it was some type of interview, and he was basically saying that Bradley Beal always steps it up defensively when he's playing against the elite players. But when he's playing against guys that aren't as high of a level, he kind of tends to play down to their competition, and that ain't what we need. You know what I'm saying? We need you to be playing hard the whole time, the whole 48 minutes or however long you gonna be out there. Bradley Beal probably like 37, 35, if I had to make a prediction. But I think Ty Lue is right, and I feel like that's noticeable too. He'd be quick to, like, you know what I'm saying, if he, I was gonna say guard KD, but they were teammates last year. He quick to try and guard somebody like, I don't know, Kyrie, or shoot, I don't know, some of the better two guards in the league. Sometimes even the lead guard, he can guard the three as well if he so chooses to. Like Tatum, I'm sure he would go hard against Tatum, especially given that they're like cool. But then, you know, you play against somebody like, no diss, even though this is definitely a diss, Killian Hayes or somebody like that. Like, why are we playing down to Killian Hayes level when Bradley Beal, you were at one point an all-star, and you know what I'm saying, all-pro. I feel like what Ty Lue is trying to do is wake up something inside of Beal to make him come to that realization. I think that it can be simultaneously both a praise and a challenge. I think that he believes that Bradley Beal has that defensive potential, but he wants him locked in consistently, no matter who he's guarding and no matter what time it is. You know what I'm saying? They want to pride defense, and I think that if Bradley Beal comes to this realization, I think that, I mean, obviously he's probably not only heard it, but Ty Lue has probably come up to him specifically and has talked to him about that. So if we can get Bradley Beal to play some defense, we got a nice little squad. I'm telling you, we're so underrated this year. It's crazy. Chris Paul is 40, but Chris Paul's still gonna swipe that ball. You know what I'm saying? He gonna pickpocket you. He's, I believe, top 10, if not top 5 in steals all time. And like, that's even at the age of 40. You know what I'm saying? I think that James Harden's defense has improved. I think that being around a lot of other guys that like playing defense will influence him to be able to do the same. And I'm hoping that translates for Bradley Beal as well, because we got players like Kawhi, who has won the Defensive Player of the Year award and has been on multiple all-defensive teams. We got people like Derrick Jones Jr. and John Collins, who can guard the 2 through basically the 5. We talked about those switch defenses in a few episodes ago. And, you know, obviously we got Zoo and Lopez holding down the paint. Got 2 defensive anchors that can really contribute to both sides of the ball. And I think that's so important. So if Bradley Beal were to step that up and be more consistent in his defense, I think that this team could be a lethal defensive juggernaut this season. It's all gonna be apparent once we match up against the younger guys. Like, I'd be curious to see how we do against the Thunder and the Rockets when it comes to defense, with a full healthy roster, by the way. But I think that, like, against the average team, I think that people will be scared to play us because we have so many threats on both sides of the ball. And I think that's what makes us so lethal. And I wish people would realize that, but they don't. But I like being an underdog. I like people sleeping on me. You know what I'm saying? I like to prove people wrong. And speaking of proving people wrong, let's talk about Bogdan Bogdanovic for a quick second. This might be a longer than a quicker second, but Bogdan, he's suiting up for Eurobasket this summer. Of course, he's playing in Serbia with Nikola Jokic. Obviously, we saw them in the Olympics last year. They were they almost took us down, y'all. I ain't gonna lie, they put up a good fight. Sorry, mouth was getting a little dry. You know, I got to do something about that. Got to stay hydrated, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all drink y'all water. But they gave us a good run for our money, and a lot of that was due to not only Jokic but Bogdan as well. Lights out 3-point shooter. Obviously the fans love seeing their guys shine on the international stage, but support like that, it can boost the players' confidence heading into that season, but there's also something else that it can boost. The Clippers front office has another motive, so to speak. And with that being said, Bogey has a team option coming up for the 26-27 season, which is next season. And his name has already been floating around in trade talks. Of course, because why not? He looks like a tradable player, even though if he's in the right system, he can contribute a lot to it, which I'll give my opinions on in a second. But basically, what they're thinking is that if he dominates a Eurobasket, it won't just get him ready for the NBA, but it'll already like increase his trade value prior to even going into the season because people will see how good of a player he can be in a specific stage. So the goal for the front office is, from what I'm hearing, is that they want him to ball out so they can get a deal for a first round pick in exchange for him, or another all-star, or you know, crucial role player level type of guy that they can get in exchange for him and add to the roster. So while fans just want to see him ball out, the front office is watching closely because every bucket overseas makes him a more valuable trade asset in this market. And I get where they're coming from. I totally get it. And I know that, we've talked about age. Age has been mentioned probably in every video thus far. But, they got to start preparing for the future as, a lot of guys are going to start retiring and just going on different journeys probably soon within the next year or two. And, they got to start thinking ahead in the future. So I understand the want for draft picks. Especially, with all the crazy trades that we've had to give up picks for. They're trying to, bring all of those back and, try and make up for it in a sense. But I'm wondering if Bogey is, like, the right guy. I mean, like, who else, though? Who else? Because, like, if he hoops for real in Serbia, that will increase his trade value. And a lot of people will get a green light with that. Other teams will. And, the Clippers, they ready to play ball. Lawrence, he already on the call. You feel me? I just wonder if that's the right move. But we did talk about a potential Moody future. I think that Moses Moody would be a good player to get, not just in exchange for Bogey, but also in addition to a draft pick. Like I said, Moses is only 23. Excuse me. He's only 23, and if he, ends up playing for us next year, he'll be 24. That's still very young. And I think that, having a draft pick on top of that won't hurt. It can't hurt. So my hope is that if they decide to go through with something like this, they get Moody. My hope is that they get Moody and another draft pick in exchange for Bogey if they decide to go through with this. But I think that we should let the season play out. He had some good minutes last season, maybe not what people were expecting, but I think that there's potential there. And I want to see like how this team that we have right now can play together before we start making all of these crazy moves and thinking too far in the future. I know that I'm guilty for that, but I was just reporting on what I saw. So now I'm just reporting on what I see again, and I have mixed opinions about it, but I'm willing to see it through. But I'm hoping that the Clippers front office sees it through first. We got to get to February before we even start talking about trade deadlines. So, we just going to have to see. But you guys leave your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you leave a like and maybe subscribe if you're feeling up to it. Let me know, do you think that trading Bogdan Bogdanovic for, a player like Moses Moody or some draft capital would be the ideal thing to do in this situation? Do you think that Ty Lue calling out Bradley Beal was a good coaching job? I don't know. Was that good coaching? I think that it was. Shout out to Intuit Dome once again for taking home that hardware. Best arena in the NBA. I said it. Might be slightly biased, but who cares about it? Anyways. And then Kawhi, him taking Wing Chun. What do you guys think that will do for his game, both on and off the court? Do you think that it will be beneficial? I don't see it as any way but beneficial, but, if I'm not seeing the bigger picture, I'd appreciate if you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions on that. But with that being said, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. We're going to catch you in the next one. And I hope you guys take it easy. Peace.